Yes. Welcome in. It's Balloon Party 101 ESPN. My name is Timothy Michael McKernan. That's Jackson Bennett Burkett. Jackson, we've got a couple things here for the people today. Number one, we're on YouTube. That's unbelievable. Jackson's in all black everything. I'm in all blue everything.
Bop, bop, bop. Yeah. Dark tones.
Yeah. And then, in addition to the fact that you can see us and talk it over, it looks like it might be, is it John Scores?
Yeah.
His birthday.
Oh, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Wonderful.
So we have that going on. We also are giving away Cardinal tickets.
Bud Bash.
For the Bud Bash.
Yeah, Bud Bash tickets.
And yesterday, the text that won started out, Jackson, you're a piece of S.
Correct, yeah.
And that person got to go
They did.
to Cardinals and Pirates a week from tonight for the Bud Bash 4-pack of tickets. And you can send in texts as well. So you get an idea of what wins. 314-399-9646, Air Comfort Service text line. Jackson and only Jackson will decide on who wins these tickets at about 10:56 today.
Yeah, and that text won yesterday. It might not be the same formula that wins today, so you can't just predict that. But I will be honest, giving me your story about how you really want to go to this game and, take your son to the first. Everyone's got a story.
We all have stories. John Favreau said it to Trent, Vince Vaughn, 1996 Swingers.
Always double down on 11. That was the best advice Vince Vaughn ever gave.
I don't know. Even with the face card, dealers showing face card?
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
But double down Trent sure did.
Do you believe in scared money don't make money?
I believe in not doubling down if the dealer showing the face card.
Okay.
It was always hardest to tell my buddies who had 16 and dealer showing the face card that they have to hit. And they're like, I don't want to. I was like, if you don't, I'm going to scream.
Oh, my gosh.
Messing up the cards for everyone else.
Well, you got the ace. You've got the deuce. You've got the 3 and the 4 and the 5. Those are going to get you home.
Yeah, but the probability of another face card being under that dealer's hand is more than a number card. So
Is that right?
Yeah, if there's 4 face cards, 4 apiece, that's more than 4 of 7s, 4 of, well, I guess it's multiple decks, but the likelihood of a face card is more likely than just a single number.
Okay. Tiny Peepee says he still doubles down.
Even showing a face card?
It's Tiny Peepee. Tiny Peepee has been killing the blackjack game for years. That's why he's able to hang out with us every day.
Face up or face down? I like it face down. Tease me.
So send in your text on Jackson liking it face down, 314-399-9646, Air Comfort Service text line. What do you have prepared for the people today on a Tuesday, fresh off of an unfortunate loss last night in Houston that the Cardinal bullpen, which has been so wonderful, gave up?
Today's pack of questions, Tim, is called the Rocky Horror Piddle Show.
Oh, nice. Tim
McCurry.
Sick. And he also was in Annie.
He was in Annie. He played
the role of Daddy Warbucks in that film.
Daddy Warbucks in Annie.
Was that Yul Brynner? Is that Yul Brynner? Is that Yul Brynner?
Is he the OG bald guy? Yes, it was Yul Brynner.
Clyde Drexler?
That's not a bad play.
Yeah. But I guess Yul Brynner predates him.
Yul Brynner might be the OG Chrome Dome King.
Is he the King and I also? We got to do a lot more theater on this show.
I have been saying that for years.
Yeah.
Moulin Rouge.
And Sarah Jessica Parker was playing Annie on Broadway, but I don't believe she played Annie in the film. We'll do a special podcast on the movie Annie that'll run separately to the Little Piddles, Rocky Horror Piddles show?
Yeah, the Rocky Horror Piddles show.
All right, fair enough. Ladies and gentlemen, text in to win the Bud Bash tickets. Jackson's going to select the best tickets. In the meantime, he's got the Rocky Horror Piddles show on Tuesday, June 4th, 2024. A lot of Annie questions coming up.
It's all about Annie. My question first is, the Cardinals took one on the chin late in the game yesterday as team MVP candidate Jojo Romero.
Is he the team MVP candidate?
I would say.
Wow.
Him, Helsley, and Winn. Contreras, maybe?
Wow.
Who's been the most valuable player on this team so far?
Heck of a year when one of your middle relievers is the team MVP.
Yeah, given the circumstances.
All right, fair enough. What's your question in the first question of the Rocky Horror Piddles show?
He was rocked for 2 homers in the 8th inning last night to give Houston the lead. Did you agree with Ali Marmol's move to pitch Romero in the 8th with the run of righties due up? Do you circumvent the matchups when you have a guy throwing as well as Romero? And does the lack of true depth, or at least trustable in the bullpen outside your top three give you pause for the sustainability of the club?
Outside of being unlikable, I think one of the reasons why I'd have a tough time winning an election is I'm not going to present a problem unless I can present a solution. So my question to you is, who would you have liked to have seen in there instead of Jojo Romero?
So no Fernandez. It was Leahy or Lutos. Obviously, Lutos came in after. Two right-handed guys. If you're picking one of those two, you're exclusively going for the righty-on-righty matchup. That's the only reason you'd pitch them, because clearly Romero is the better stuff. But Romero throws almost all off-speed, and Houston rakes off-speed at home. And I know that the Cardinals have this information.
So you want Lutos out there?
No, I don't. I'm not. I thought it was the right move.
Oh, okay.
You got a pitcher who's pitching as well as Jojo Romero. I don't care about the matchups.
Yeah, he's just been ridiculous. Some are saying the National League MVP.
He's the most valuable on the team. But it's probably still Contreras or Winn, even though Winn. More on that later.
3 weeks.
Well, that's again. Welcome. Hello, 2024.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it.
It's tough, but
it's a tough spot. Gibson pitched well. Yeah. Went to Kittredge, and then that kind of set the wheels in motion.
Yeah, Kittredge
had some guys who weren't available, and that was the spot. Yeah. So I don't have a problem. I don't know if I just don't default to the manager screwed up if the team loses a game that they were leading.
Right, because if you put Leahy in there and he gives up 2 bombs.
I don't know when the Cardinals will return to the postseason. I feel like everybody gets to go now. So theoretically it could happen this year. But one of the things, it's kind of like the Stephen A. Smith, Monica McNutt thing, Pat McAfee thing. I'm like, I guess we got to have takes on that. It just kind of bores me.
Yeah.
And what else bores me is blaming the manager for everything. It just kind of like, I guess because it isn't intellectually stimulating, I suppose.
Right.
But I know it can pander and get people worked up, but I don't believe it's necessarily genuine.
And I also think...
I'm putting that on the Pat McAfee thing, I'm putting that on the Stephen A. Smith, Monica McNutt thing, and I'm putting that on the let's blame the manager anytime the team loses a game that they were leading. It just bores me.
Yeah, and it almost always stems from results-oriented reactions. Like if JoJo would have pitched lights out in the 8th, no one would have said, boy, what a ballsy move taking 3 righties with Jojo Romero. But because he got shelled, it's like, oh, well, look what you could have done. Brought in 2 guys who have not been great and not have pitched in a lot of high leverage situations.
Yeah, you're going up against a great team. Well, I don't know how
their record doesn't show it.
Their record doesn't show it, but they've gotten hot offensively. Bregman's been super hot as of late. I think it's
Alvarez,
5 home runs.
red hot.
So with that established, you're going up against Justin Verlander. You got to him. My biggest takeaway, honestly, from the game is Nolan Gorman continues to rake.
No go.
And even though this season, barring a real big surprise, is not going to be, a 90-plus win season, it's super encouraging to see what's going on with Gorman over the last, 2.5-ish weeks. Mm-hmm. And Masyn Winn over the last month. And Burleson, for that matter, for the most part in the month of May, and then he gets a home run last night. So I just want to see, that's where I am. I'm on the Doug Armstrong plan.
Yeah, long term.
Which is, let's just kind of see what we got, because odds are this isn't, a team that's going to be dazzling. With that all said, still can win the National League Central.
Yep.
Still can win the National League Central.
Absolutely.
I just... in the current format just doesn't necessarily mean much.
Right. And on Gorman, it's not like he's just taking meatballs down the middle and turning on them. On Sunday night, the fact that he hit a home run on that ball up and in on the hands, he's really seeing the ball well, and that's super encouraging. Same with Burley. So there's certainly stuff on that. But you were a really big fan of the Astros uniforms last night.
Jackson, actually, you were the one who was really irritated by Space City.
That's so bad. The monochromatic uniform.
Would you like to see the Cardinals wear a monochromatic?
Absolutely not. It makes my stomach hurt looking at it. Baseball pants are supposed to be white. They're supposed to be gray. And that is it. There should be no circumstance in which you are wearing navy pants. That is a softball team, a company softball team look. It looks terrible. As a college baseball look, it looks terrible. The Space City thing, okay, I get why you have it. It's the name of the club. But... and that's why I keep saying, the Cardinals dodged a major bullet on the City Connect uniforms. That could have been real bad. God, between that and the
Yeah, we've seen
Brahmas.
some rough ones here the last couple series.
Oh, it's so bad.
Space City and the Phillies on Friday night.
And it can't be, it has to be said, this is the first series in 2 away series that they aren't wearing Navy caps and a loss on the board.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I don't know if it correlates. I don't know.
I think there's research that backs it up. Those uniforms were horrible. The hat was pretty cool. That's from John Scores, celebrating his 24th birthday today.
I didn't hate the hat. I didn't like the hat by any means. And when you're wearing on top of a uniform that bad, it's gonna get.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Your thoughts are welcome because we're giving away Bud Bash tickets in the text inbox today. 314-399-9646. Air Comfort Service text line. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you. The program is called Balloon Party, and it is brought to you by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. It's on 101 ESPN and the 101 ESPN YouTube channel. Welcome back. Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you on the program. We're taking your texts for these Bud Bash tickets. That's 4 tickets to the Cardinals and Pirates. And a week from tonight, Jackson. Plus, next week's Bud Bash game features a limited edition Jason Isringhausen bobblehead. Text in now, 314-399-9646 to win Budweiser Bash tickets for Cardinals Pirates on June 11th at Busch Stadium. Getting some strong ones, I think, anyway. Let's see what we got. Jackson is the biggest cuck for Tim. He has the worst takes, can't ask one question at a time. He has to have 74,000 parts to it, like a college exam. And to top it off, he's going to try to bring theater into a sports talk radio show. Get the F out of here. You should call the show Tim and the Little Cuck.
Still the leader in the clubhouse.
Yeah, posting a low number, and it's going to be windy out there for the players who are on the course. So the 618, from my standpoint, might be getting a chance to see Key Brian Hayes in 7 days.
He's a hell of a third baseman. O'Neal Cruz, he's tall.
Yeah, exit velocity season. Jackson, we are in the midst of the Rocky Horror Piddle show?
That's right. It's actually a movie I've never seen. So I feel like I'm kind of bastardizing it, but whatever. Speaking of O'Neal Cruz, this question kind of has something to do with him.
Oh, wow. Good.
Yeah, well, in a roundabout way. How concerning is Masyn Winn's issues in the field been? He has had 5 errors over the last 2 weeks and is tied for second most errors for shortstops in the NL. Now his defensive WAR is still 1.0, and that's much better than Elly De La Cruz and O'Neal Cruz, who have 11 and 10 errors respectively. Do you think it could be the lingering injuries that he seems to be dealing with, or do you think it's a young player who's a little in his head?
I just think sometimes people, especially getting going in the major leagues, can make mistakes. I don't know. I'm not too concerned about it. I mean, keep in mind where he was in August and September offensively and where he is now. He may be the Cardinals. I was reading All-Star representatives, and they're talking about Masyn Winn being the Cardinal All-Star representative.
Could be, yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that means you absolve the defensive miscues, but overall, I'm quite pleased with the development. I just don't think that's going to be a long-term concern.
I don't think so either. I think he'll get his feet under him.
I know he booted a ball in the 8th inning that wound up coming around to score last night, but overall, if anything, I'm incredibly excited about him, and then really excited about what Nolan Gorman's done, because I was getting worried about that about 5 weeks into the season.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, I'm good.
You know, it was either last week or 2 weeks ago, Alec Boehm, who plays third baseman for the Phillies.
Yes.
I believe he was called Raffy on Sunday Night Baseball because he looks like a giraffe. He had 3 errors in the game, and they asked him, what's the situation going on? He's like, sometimes you just suck. There's 162 games in a year. Some days you go out there and you don't have it and you suck, and you don't think about it for another second afterwards because you have a game tomorrow. And that's just that. And he's like, you might not like to hear it, but sometimes guys mess up, and that's what happened to me today, and I'll move on. And I really was like, that is the answer. That's the only way you can think about the game.
Sometimes we talked about narratives being applied to things.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you just mess up.
Right.
It doesn't, I was watching, don't worry, I'm not going to break it down for you, but as somebody who's interested in the game, the longest day in golf, they call it, while all these amateur players, most are amateur players anyway, are trying to qualify for U.S. Open spots, including friend of the show, Chris Nagel from St. Louis, who did qualify for his 3rd U.S. Open yesterday. And if a guy missed a putt, it's like, the pressure got to him. And I'm like, well, sometimes you just, you don't hit it hard enough. Your line's wrong. I mean, it's just sometimes you just, sometimes you just make a bad shot.
Free throw the same way. Like, sometimes you miss on the front end.
Was Bill Buckner nervous? You know what I mean?
Right. But that's the narrative that will forever get attached to.
Yeah, so now if you have a body of work of not performing to what your baseline level has been with a large sample size in clutch moments, well, then I would say, you could say choker, Greg Norman. I mean, I don't know how you couldn't. On the other side, locally, if you want to apply it locally, David Freese. I mean, I think there's something there
clutch
that he was able to excel not just in Game 6 of the 2011 World Series, but also with the series on the line the following year against the Nationals, fighting off pitches, and I think he got a walk, if I'm not mistaken, to keep that thing going against the Nationals when the Cardinals came back. To placate you, Robert Ory.
Oh, yeah, Big Shot Bob.
So there are just some people who want the ball, so to speak, or want to be out there with a match on the line, whatever the case might be. And then there's some people who don't. And then sometimes you just have a mistake, and it doesn't mean that you're
right.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
Especially in the case of Winn, like you saw yesterday, they had to come out and look at his hand. He's dealing with that. We saw obviously the transfer. He's still, like I said, defensive WAR of 1.0. It's really good. He's probably saved more runs than he's cost. It's a small sample size. 5 in 2 weeks is a decent amount, and especially back-to-back games. But he's young. He's 22 years old. You're going to make a mistake like that. It's actually, I think, like good practice to learn about dealing with adversity and getting over mistakes like that. Like sometimes it's good to strike out 3 times in the game, as weird as it might sound, because you got to get back in the saddle. If you're going to play baseball for 15 years in the majors, you're going to have bad days.
I don't know what this means. When Jackson isn't with Lisa Ann or Sweet Sweet Kai, he sits in his house wearing his D. Wade jersey and watching above the rim and touches himself. That's from the 618.
That's interesting. That Dwayne Wade is my favorite player of all time.
So this comes from somebody with inside word. Then it sounds like
Could be the
kind
case.
of a Bud Fox, Gordon Gekko situation.
I love Dwayne Wade so much.
I saw him play against St. Louis University 2002
with Marquette.
Yeah. And then I saw him vanquish the Missouri Tigers. It was more Steve Novak though.
Boy, could he shoot.
In 2003.
I could shoot the rock. But I love D-Wade so much. Not only were my first pair of basketball shoes D-Wade's Converse model, but he would wear the leggings under the shorts that you often see in basketball to this day. I didn't realize those were leggings. So for about a year and change, every day to school I wore sweatpants with shorts over them.
Wow.
Yeah. Just so I could be like...
You're a real-life Billy D. Williams.
So I could be like Flash. Yeah. He was by far my favorite player when I was a kid.
Then you agree with this text?
I don't. I definitely don't watch Above the Rim. Not a lot of great basketball movies out there. It's kind of Hoosiers and everyone running for second. So no, that part isn't true, but I do love Dwayne Wade. And I definitely have owned multiple D-Wade jerseys in my life.
Tim, I'm not from St. Louis, but I don't understand this love for David Freese, other than he's from St. Louis. The guy was a one-year wonder, and he wasn't even good for the whole year. He was average, but came through in the World Series, which is great for him. But people like him getting in the Cardinals Hall of Fame makes me question what it takes to get in the Cardinal Hall of Fame. It's from the 980. Well, if we were to break down the merits of getting into the Cardinal Hall of Fame, we probably wouldn't spend a whole lot of time on it. It's a thing for fans, and it's not like a Cooperstown election. I believe within the next 10 years, everybody who's ever played for the Cardinals will be in the Cardinal Hall of Fame.
Aaron Miles.
It'll be a fun speech. But with regard to David Freese, I would imagine that across the country, if you went into sports teams championships, there will be randoms who you hearken back to because it brings you a rush of nostalgia to think of a guy who may have not had a Hall of Fame or even All-Star career, but it had a moment in a championship season that lives forever and brings you back to that moment and the people who were around you when that time came. So in St. Louis, you got 2 hometown heroes in D. Freese and Pat Maroon, here in recent history. Jackson, what's another kind of random one? Any other market? I'm assuming we're going to go NBA.
Andre Iguodala, Springfield, Illinois native. He won Finals MVP. Won't be a Hall of Famer. Never really. He might have been an All-Star when Philly or something, but kind of a random. But he's beloved in the Bay Area.
Right.
Robert Horry, like you mentioned earlier, another guy.
I feel like there's got to be like hockey guys, just like who are gods in markets, but we're never really like superstars.
Yeah. If they're not a superstar, there's not a chance in hell I would know them.
I understand that wasn't necessarily to initiate conversation so much as I just know that this is kind of how it works. I mean, Bucky effing Dent, for those who go back to the 78 play-in game between the Yankees and the Red Sox. Bucky Dent had a wonderful run as a Cardinal base coach, but more known in the Northeast for a home run in a one-game playoff between the Yankees and Red Sox, and was not necessarily considered a power threat when he went yard to end the Red Sox season.
Yeah, I mean, someone like, it's much more minor, and the team didn't win the World Series afterwards, but like Pete Kozma's going to be at least remembered in some minds because of what he did in 2012 and against the Nats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to live on, at least for some. It's not of D. Freese level, of course, but how often do you think of random middle infielders for the Cardinals over the last 15 years? Cesar Torres.
Bream.
Sid Bream.
He slid past the Pirates, his former team, to send the Braves to the World Series.
Oh, you know who else would be like that? Dave Roberts, probably, for Boston fans. For the clutch pinch running
in the
04. I just actually watched that 04 Red Sox 30 for 30.
What are you, a masochist?
4 days in October. Well, it doesn't really talk about the Cardinals. It's just about the Yankees and Red Sox series. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, in Boston, kind of like St. Louis, they forget the World Series happened. They focus more on the ALCS.
Yeah, they won it all that night that they won Game 7.
Railing against Freeze in the Cardinal Hall of Fame, stupid. He turned it down, but he should be in. Why don't we play every year to win the World Series? Without him in 11, we don't. That's from the 3 and 4.
I have to kind of agree. The why is D. Freeze beloved is kind of a pro-contrarian take.
Well, it was a guy who's not from St. Louis.
I get that.
With his perspective. Well, I mean, I effing love the guy.
Right.
Like, I just like the guy. He could have been terrible. He's just like a good, amusing guy.
Sure.
You know?
Right. But I think if we went to a different market and someone had a D. Freeze-like run, we would understand why they're beloved.
100%.
Right.
Even in amongst non-St. Louis baseball fans, Game 6 of the 2011 World Series is hallowed ground.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So he was the guy, and he happened to be from St. Louis, and he had that happen.
Right.
I mean, it could have been, you made reference to Aaron Miles. It could have been Aaron Miles. It didn't matter.
Aaron Boone.
Aaron Boone, 2003 Yanks.
Yeah, and that's just one homer. He hit the clutch triple and the walk-off home run. You know, it wasn't just like a one shoot.
Those new Holderness and Bourne TMA golf polos are what all the people need. Go get you one, balloon party people. How about that? That's from the 636.
Good stuff is what it is.
Yeah, TMASTLshop.com. Brand new. I should be wearing one. Holderness and Bourne. Yeah, we just got those going on TMASTLshop.com. Piddles, the Yankees did win the World Series after Dent hit it.
One more time.
Piddles,
yes.
The Yankees did win the World Series after Dent hit it.
Did I question that? I've heard the name Bucky Dent, but it was not, I don't remember how I've heard it.
He was a forward with the Ottawa Senators. Played with Carlson.
Dylan? Ottawa is the capital of Canada.
That was your response to Bucky Dent being a forward with the Senators.
That's what I know about Ottawa. You know what the biggest city in North America is by population?
Wow, you're putting a man to the test here. Biggest city in North America by population. God, I mean, this is a wonderful question just because it strikes me as so obvious. I'm in between two.
I know which ones you're in between.
What do you think? I guarantee you're not thinking of the second one that I'm thinking. So that should be a tell.
You're between New York and Mexico City.
Yes. Oh, wow. I tipped my cap.
Yeah.
Could have won some cash on that.
Yeah.
But I did give off a tell.
Mexico City.
Oh, okay.
Mexico City is the biggest city in North America by population. Yeah, just beats out New York. Ryder cast it.
Where'd that come from? We were talking about the Ottawa Senators.
Ottawa Senators, capital of Canada.
Right.
Canada is in North America, so I asked because people think New York, and so I was like, "Oh,
what is going on?"
I have fun.
First, you force theater down our throats.
You know what kept mentioning Yul Brynner, who I love.
And now we're doing fun facts with trivia in capital cities.
People should go to the theater, like go see a play. If you like movies, you like it's like see the happening.
I did notice you have a new bumper sticker on that Subaru, and it says
next to my 26.2.
Go see a play, and then your other bumper sticker is my other car is a broom.
That's right. I have one of those fishes.
It looks so good next to River's car.
Yeah, well, I mean, check the down payments.
Pro-contrarian engagement farming. That's from Thanks, Dad.
Okay. Thanks, Dad. I guess that's in reference to Texter. Hopefully. I didn't say anything about Bucky Dent and the Yankees. I don't know how I got attributed to that.
The David Freeze guy is back from the 980. Where's the 980? I assume Los Angeles. I feel like we're big with
Mexico
Los Angeles.
City.
Yeah. Tim, I'm not saying what he did wasn't important. All I'm saying is when I see names like Lou Brock, Stan Musial, Bob Gibson, Mark McGuire, and then I see David Freeze, I'm like, what the hell? Well, I mean, those names aren't really the ones that are, quote, damning to the Cardinal Hall of Fame, you know.
No, I think that's kind of
anybody's really like, I'm not sure Musial should be in the Cardinal Hall of Fame.
right, but like Freeze next to those names is like a little bit
Right, I understand, but the Cardinal Hall of Fame is more like a fan museum.
Yeah.
And I think there is confusion, I guess, because it's called Hall of Fame, and then go, hold on a second. But there were a lot of guys who were in it so far who were borderline Cooperstown Hall of Famers or within shouting distance.
like 51.
For example.
Yeah.
But, Freeze. I mean, I don't think Freeze is running around going, now, what the hell? How come I'm not at Cooperstown?
No, in fact,
he's like, I want to stay in Austin, and I don't want to have to come up here for things that I don't want to sign autographs for. That's what I really think was going on. And I got to tell you, I respect it. All right. Jackson won't watch a Blues game, but he's got season tickets to the Muni.
No, not
That's
the Muni.
some Eric Nickens on the YouTube chat.
I'm a Fox guy.
Can we give him the tickets to Bud Beck?
I'm a fabulous Fox guy. I like the architecture there. It's a little hot, the Muni, sometimes. I don't want like my play to get rained out, that's kind of smarts. So I prefer the fabulous Fox, where I saw many a play as a kid. Really shaped my life.
Your thoughts are welcome. 314-399-9646. This is Balloon Party, 101 ESPN. Well, I'd like to tell the people about the Bath Authority, and it's a way to upgrade your home with inexpensive upgrades from the good people at the Bath Authority. This is an opportunity to make your home look brand new with just one move. The Bath Authority will take care of those bathrooms quick, fast, and in a hurry. Give them a call, and they're giving a great deal right now. 314-347-0410 and get $1,500 off a new shower or bath, plus 36 months of interest-free financing. You're their priority at the Bath Authority. Elevate your bathroom to a new level of luxury, style, and safety. Call today, 314-347-0410 to schedule your free in-home estimate today and get $1,500 off a new shower or bath, plus 36 months of interest-free financing. Restrictions apply. It's the Bath Authority. Online at thebathauthority.com. A better bath awaits.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals lose last night. Final score 7-4 at the hands of the Houston Astros. They take on the Houston Astros again tonight. 7:10 is your first pitch. Andre Palante toeing the slab for the Redbirds. And on Thursday night, we've all been waiting for Game 1 of the NBA Finals starts as the Mavericks take on the Celtics at the TD Garden. You can catch that game right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6:30 and tip-off at 7:30 on Thursday. That was our Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back to McKernan, Jackson Burkett, Balloon Party, 101 ESPN, and we're in the midst of this Rocky Horror Piddle show. Is that what it's called?
That's right.
We're giving away Bud Bash tickets for the Cardinals and Pirates a week from tonight. Jason Isringhausen, bobblehead night, Bud Bash. Text in 314-399-9646. Jackson is going to pick the winning text in the next commercial break. So this is a big opportunity.
Huge.
It's a big opportunity. Big opportunity.
All right. Question 2. 3. Jeremy Rutherford wrote in The Athletic about the possibility of the Blues making a big trade for Mitch Marner that could possibly involve Parayko or Jordan Binnington or even Pavel Buchnevich. Would you be interested in the Blues making a move for a guy going into the last year of his contract? What about the idea of moving Binner? In general, are you on board with the Blues shaking things up a bit and making for a big move this offseason?
Jackson, Mitch Marner, for the record, turned 27 about a month ago, actually, on May 5th. So here's where I am, and I think I'm in a minority when it comes to this kind of stuff. If it isn't likely to happen, and by likely I mean, what percentage will you take as likely? Because likely does not mean more than 51% of the time, even though perhaps many would define it as therefore likely.
25%.
Okay. Well, I mean, who's really a 25% chance? When I'm talking about likely, I'm talking about an incredible regular season team. Mm-hmm. Because at this point, I don't know what isn't a crapshoot postseason. College football, maybe?
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I guess, yeah.
Usually the
12.
NBA last year was a weird one.
Yeah, at the end, the best teams come out
So
in the
the
wash.
Celtics were the one, right? And then what were the Mavericks?
3 or 4.
Okay. So put yourself in the best position. And how realistic, that's why I keep, second time today, I've referenced the Doug Armstrong speech going into the 2022 or 2023, 2024 regular season. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with saying that. It sets expectations. The Blues aren't close.
Yeah.
And because of the salary cap situation and the contracts they have, it isn't like, oh, maybe this is it's just not happening.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, I'm comfortable with a move that would be, on the surface, really hurtful to fans and the team's chances in 2024, 2025. I understand it, but I think it brings you closer to a championship. So I would cite, as an example, a counterpoint, what we've seen over the last, I guess you could make a case for approximate decade with the Cardinals, even though you did have an NLCS team in 19 and a division winner in 22. But in 16, 17, 18, I don't recognize 2020, 2021, and 2023, you either had kind of woebegone mediocre teams just kind of sailing at sea, or in the case of last year, you had, the doormat. 2021 required the winning streak, and other than that, they were just kind of like stuck, and then they didn't want to make a move.
Right.
And no plan is the equivalent of taking a step backwards to me. So, the Cubs caught a lot of hell for breaking up the 2016 World Champions. I think part of that was the nostalgia for Cubs fans of that team, and the other part of it was the, I guess, regret perhaps for Cubs fans that team that was expected to have a potential Atlanta Braves 1990s-like run didn't really wind up doing that much, even though they will live forever in Chicago Cubs lore because of what they did in 2016. And I think fan bases in general oftentimes have a tough time parting ways with big names because it means that the near term is not going to feature a championship.
Right.
But when the Cubs did part ways with those guys, I felt like they were getting themselves closer to a championship than the Cardinals were, even though the Cardinals still had the big names on the roster. Why? Because they were beginning the plan of rebuilding. And so, along those lines, are the Blues going to win a Stanley Cup with Jordan Binnington?
Unlikely, given his age.
It's just that's kind of where I come in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing is, I think Doug Armstrong thinks along these lines as well.
Right.
So if it ain't going to happen, the goal is to win championships. Now, I suppose maybe the goal isn't to win champion. I'm not saying, I'm going case by case here. Steve Cohen with the Mets is one I always go to because there's a guy that's operating. In other words, I don't care if I lose money.
Yeah.
I don't care what the attendance is. I don't care if I get all kinds of criticism. I'm a multi-billionaire. It just doesn't matter. I want to be the guy who eventually brings the first world championship to New York Mets since 1986. That's what I want. So whatever we got to do it, that's what we're going to do. And it might be a zigzag pattern to do it, but that's what we're going to do. You might be an owner who is in a spot where you go, we aren't able to operate at a loss. We're not in that position. So it's a case-by-case basis. But if the end goal truly is to win a championship, then sometimes you actually have to take a step backwards in order to accomplish it. So I don't know on the Marner front so much as I'm more on the, if it means trading Jordan Binnington, then that's what it means. Because by the time the Blues are back in a spot where they can be what they were in 2019 and really 2020, because 2020 was from the start, 2019 was from January on, that I'm on board with it. I wonder what the reaction of the fan base would be.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And my kind of thought, just off the top of my head here, is do you think that the Blues have a somewhat similar mindset to the Cardinals of just get in and we'll see what happens, or do you think it's more calculated than that?
I do think they have a different approach when it comes to the postseason. And in a way, I can't fault them. Like the fact that the Blues won the Stanley Cup, the way they won the Stanley Cup, and by that I mean when they got in, that's the first time, for real. And I don't know what other Blues fans would say. I guess they would probably cite a President's Trophy season of 2000. That was the first time for me as a Blues fan, and doing television and radio in the market and watching them growing up in the 1980s and 1990s. Maybe I felt this way in 96, but that might have just been the Gretzky lore of that moment, where I'm like, I think they might be able to win the Stanley Cup, which kind of, to draw a parallel for Missouri football fans, it was a joke, the idea of Missouri being in a spot to win a college football national championship when I was in school there, much less growing up in the 1980s and how bad it was. But in 2019, I remember saying to Doug Vaughn, I'm like, I don't know. I think they might be the best team going right now. Why do I bring that up? Because it was clear they were one of the best teams. Now, oftentimes in the NHL, that's not who gets there. You'll see an 8 seed get to the Stanley Cup final. We saw it with the Kings. But with regard to the Blues, they didn't luck box their way in. And that's not to say the 2006 and 2011 Cardinals did, but because they won in the manner with which they won in 2006 and 2011, and because a great team in 2004, a great team in 2005, a 100-win team in 2015, a great team in 2000 but didn't have the 100 wins, those teams came up short, and all but one of them didn't even get to the World Series. But then they look at 2006 and 2011. In a way, you can't fault the ownership and John Mozeliak, who was a part of that, for going, well, all you do is you just try to get in. For the Blues, their mindset, I think, is different because look what they did. They had been building toward that with that offseason, got there, and by the time they got there, you knew that that team could beat a really good Winnipeg team and a really good Dallas team. And it wasn't like fluky, like what would have happened if the Blues would have beat the Avalanche 2 years ago. That would have been because of Jordan Binnington. Yeah. So I like that mindset. Yes, outliers can happen. 2011 for the Cardinals was an outlier. Imagine if they lose that final game in Houston and the Phillies don't beat the Braves. I believe that's what had to happen that night. How many different things, you want to talk about a sliding doors moment for the organization, how many things change. So along those lines, I like that mindset of trying to optimize chances and windows, as opposed to just like, okay, we're going to run a crapshoot thing, you know?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. This isn't just the Cardinals in 2006 and 2011. Look at the last two National League pennant winners. They were both the 6 seeds in the league. So maybe that strategy is right for baseball and it's not right for hockey, which strikes me as odd, because hockey used to be the one that you go, it's total crapshoot.
It defies logic because more teams get in the playoffs and it's a salary cap league. The Dodgers aren't looming out there to get you, or the Yankees. You know, everyone's kind of, in a way, playing on the same playing field, and more teams get in. So that kind of flies in the face of logic, but you're right.
And the team that's representing the Western Conference is a team that fired their coach and I think started off like 2-9 or something like that.
November fire or December?
Right.
Yeah.
November. So, yeah, do with it what you want, but I prefer that kind of thing. But here's the thing. We got a little taste of it last year when the Arenado thing came up and the talk of him getting traded to the Dodgers. And it wasn't just like, oh, I hope they don't do it. It was just like, fake news, can't be real. And I'm like, makes all the sense in the world, actually. Right. So that's Nolan Arenado. Imagine the goalie from the Stanley Cup winning team.
Yeah.
And what that many would go, oh, my God, we're going to do come grow with us again like 17 years ago? I don't want that. I don't want to see that. But I think that gets you on a path quicker to a Stanley Cup than trying to just kind of hold serve. Your thoughts are welcome. 314-399-9646. YouTube chat active as well. This is Balloon Party on 101 ESPN. Well, Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota is the place my family and I get our cars from, and it's the place we recommend you get your cars as well. Just go online at stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com, and you can work with the best, and the best is Jamie Burkhardt, the best is Peter Munganess, and the best in the service department is Ryan Seibert. Great deal for our audience. It's a TMA loyal listener special. We're going to carry it over to Balloon Party here. 2024 Acura MDX Premium, no money down, $589 a month. You're getting a brand new car, no money down, and it's an Acura MDX Premium too, $589 a month, no money down. And you can go shopping right now. stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com. It's Munganess, St. Louis Acura, and Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota, 314-252-0029. Work with the best, and the best is our title sponsor. Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you another 5 minutes. And Jackson, we're giving away Bud Bash tickets to next Tuesday's game with the Pirates for the Cardinal Bud Bash. Jason Isringhausen bobblehead. Who have you chosen to give these to?
The 618 has won. You read his text earlier, but I'll reread it for those just tuning in.
Welcome
Jackson,
back to the show.
Yeah, hello, everybody. Jackson is the biggest cuck for Tim. He has the worst takes. Can't ask one question at a time. He has to ask it in 74,000 parts, like a college exam. And to top it off, he's going to try to bring theater into a sports talk radio show. Get the F out of here.
Wow. Well, off to the Cardinal game you go. Congratulations. Wonderful text.
Yeah. Some people tried, and they failed terribly. So
you get mad when people emphasize their text?
Yeah, then you know who you are. I saw it the first time. It wasn't good then. It wasn't even better on the second time.
Wow.
So nice try. And it was a bad attempt. Wrong strategy, Chief.
When you call somebody chief, I feel like you're being condescending.
That's accurate.
Okay, just want to
That's
see
absolutely my goal.
If my reads were correct. All right, we got 4 minutes. Let's make the best of them. 240 seconds. Let's make them the best 240 seconds in the history of the show, which will not be easy.
Right. Oh, you like a quick hitter? How about the quick hit corner, spelled with a Q?
Oh!
Where's your rooting interest lie in these NHL and NBA finals that get underway at the end of this week? And in the NHL, how important are Stanley Cup titles to an individual player's legacy? And finally, would you agree that this Stanley Cup playoff matchup is great for the NHL and bad for ABC?
Boy, I'll tell you, I don't know what the name of the gentleman was who sent that text in calling you a cuck, but sometimes I feel like Hansel and Gretel. I need a little breadcrumbs with these questions.
Well, if I just ask you the rooting interest, you answered that in 0.1 second. So
you need to gnaw on the bone.
Just a little bit of meat.
All right, go one by one.
All right, your rooting interests are?
I'm pulling for the oil.
Oil.
And I want to make it clear, I love America.
Right.
And I actually spend more time in South Florida than anywhere else. I mean, I'm South St. Louis through and through.
Right.
Make that clear.
Right.
Meat and potatoes guy. But
South Florida, like Destin.
It's correct.
Okay.
What else is there?
Homestead.
But I'm going oil. I want to see the oil win the chalice.
And then
I want to see McDavid go off, like his first goal against Laze Star the other night. Yeah. I want that throughout.
All right. And then Hoop Rock?
Celtics all day.
All day.
Yeah.
No surprise there. And then the next question.
I won't be like heartbroken if the Panthers win because you can get Matthew Tkachuk in a chalice.
Can't lose, kind of.
Yeah. But I mean, I want to see. Here's what I want to see. Give me 7 games. That's what I want.
Is there a better word and a better phrase in sports than Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals? There is. It's Game 7 of the NBA championship.
Oh, boy.
In the NHL, how important are Stanley Cup titles to an individual player's legacy?
Well, I mean, let's use friend of the show, Patty Maroon, as an example.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a guy who was just kind of, don't get me wrong, entertaining. I don't use the F word, but entertaining AF. Mm-hmm. And then he gets the goal against the Stars, wins a chalice, goes to the Ning, wins a couple more, nearly wins a 4th.
Right.
And it's like, Pat Maroon, you want a prediction? I'll give you a prediction. You want to optimize these 240 seconds that only have 30 seconds left in them? I'll do it. Pat Maroon has the potential to be a Charles Barkley, Biz Nasty-like figure for NHL broadcasts. And if Pat Maroon would have never won a chalice, I don't think that's the case.
Right. Well, because then you also never have him going past the Boston bench saying what he said.
Sure. Well, you have that, and you have like the cocktail parties in Tampa.
Right.
And he just became one of those guys challenging all of the members of who was he trying to challenge with was it the Panthers, I believe? Yeah, for the hit.
Right.
I mean, so that adds to cash. I always say Tyoka Jackson, incredible interview. He's been on this show. I've interviewed him plenty of times. He was with the Rams. But he was, he never got to like a Hall of Fame level. Mm-hmm. That you win a World Series, you have those kinds of seasons, you kind of have those moments. You can become like Steve Lyons if he doesn't take his pants off at first base. I know this was before. You know what I'm talking about?
No idea.
Okay, got the nickname Psycho. I don't think he's calling games on Fox. As crazy as this stuff sounds,
he take his pants off.
He mistakenly thought, for whatever reason, he was in the clubhouse and started taking his pants off on first base. You'll look it up. I bet you'll use it, actually. Gotta go, Jackson. Like BK and Ferrari are coming up next. Cut his mic off. This is my time. Jackson Burkett. Who's Monica McNutt? BK and Ferrari are next. I'm Tim McKernan, and this has been Bloom Party on 101 ESPN.